Right. Good evening, and our apologies for the late start, but we had a meeting prior to this with the business district, and it ran over time, as you can tell. So thank you for your patience, and welcome to the regular agenda meeting of the Beach Haven Borough Council. It is Monday, November 8th at 6:10 p.m. Please stand for the flag salute, which will be led by Dr. Davis.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate and electronic notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the Beach Haven Municipal Building, on the borough website, and mailing the same to the Beach Haven Times, the Asbury Park Press, and the Press of Atlantic City. Mr. Allen.
Here.
Mrs. Ball Miller. Here. Dr. Davis.
Here.
Mrs. Rutherford. Here. Mayor Lambert.
Here. And yes, we'll begin our evening tonight with a presentation from our CFO, Sherry Bowler, on our 2021 Best Practices Questionnaire.
You can stand there or you can sit here.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Every year, is that okay? Is that better? Every year, the state makes every municipality fill out a questionnaire. They call it a best practice inventory. And basically, the inventory assesses each municipality's compliance with various laws and evaluates the implementation of fiscal and operational best practices. The inventory answers provide taxpayers with additional means of evaluating their municipality's performance, including how tax dollars are utilized. The inventory also identifies areas where municipalities may require further technical assistance. The state implemented last year a section of unscored questions where they're just trying to gather information on a variety of topics. The purpose of the best practice questionnaire, really, the impact that it would have would be if you don't score the minimum requirement score, they would utilize that and they would withhold a portion of your state aid. This year, there were 48 questions amongst 3 categories. Core competencies and best practice questions were 2 of the sections, and then the 3rd section was the unscored survey questions. In a nutshell, the main basis this year was on core competencies. There were 19 questions, each worth a point. The best practice section, they made smaller this year. The best practice involves fiscal and operational practices that are a benefit to many municipalities, but may not apply to all. There were 8 questions this year, each were worth half a point, and they used that really as a means of an extra credit if you needed more support. The best practices involved questions on budget, transparency, procurement, personnel, and environment. But the main basis was core competencies. There were 19 questions. And in that section, they addressed statutory and regulatory compliance and other areas critical to sound municipal finance and operations. They were each valued 1 point. And you get a credit for a yes answer. And they also allow you in this section to answer prospective. So that would be if it's something that you couldn't answer yes to yet, but you were going to have a good faith effort that over the next year you were going to implement it. You can only answer prospective for 1 year in a row. Those questions addressed personnel issues, budget, finance administration, capital projects, transparency, procurement, and cybersecurity. There were only 3 new questions this year. A lot of years are repeat questions, and all the 3 questions this year were on shared services, specifically whether or not we list our shared services on the user-friendly budget, whether or not we file our shared service agreements with the division. And the 3rd new question was on fire districts regarding compensation for commissioners, which does not apply to us. The unscored survey portion was just 21 questions meant to gather information. It doesn't count towards the score, but it's required to complete. And Again, the possible maximum score was a 23. They need you to score 15 so you don't jeopardize your state aid. We scored 23. And then there is a copy of it if anybody would like to read the questions and see the answers. I have a copy for everybody. And there's a couple extra copies up here as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. 23, very impressive. Thank you. Anybody have anything to add about the best practices? No?
One of the requirements of the best practices is that she come to a meeting and discuss the best practices.
Yeah, that would take up a whole meeting in and of itself if you read it out loud, but so hopefully everybody will avail themselves of it.
All right, cash receipts in the current fund account for the period of October 1st through October 31st were $2,616,214.09. Cash disbursements in the current fund account for the month of October totaled $2,999,630.82. And the cash balance in the current fund account as of this period totaled $14,104,389.77. Cash receipts in the water utility account for the period of October 1st through October 31st, 2021 were $350,011.54. Cash disbursements in the water utility account for the month of October totaled $16,802.12. And the cash balance in the water utility account as of October 31st was $4,375,767.61 submitted by our treasurer and CFO, Sherry Bowler. I just wanted to point out very quickly 2 resolutions that are on the agenda for this evening. One is the Chapter 159, that is allowing us to insert a special item of revenue into our budget that was unanticipated. We recently received a donation from Bonnie Wells from Coastal Living Real Estate, a substantial donation to purchase our first 4-seed gator to start to implement handicap accessibility or senior gator program for access to the beach. So depending on how quickly we can get it ordered and get it here, we're hoping to kick the program off as soon as possible. But we don't know when it will come, but I thank Bonnie Wells and Coastal Living Real Estate for their generous donation. We are working very hard to put together a plan of action, an operating procedure, some staff. So we'll get it up and running as soon as possible, but that was very exciting. So that's on the agenda for tonight. And also we are acknowledging the 2020 audit, and we're having the governing body execute an affidavit that they did review the audit. And again, the audit was spotless, no findings. Some of you had a chance to read it. So I just wanted to point that out. Another fantastic year for Sherry Bowler and the finance office.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Sherry, and thanks to Bonnie Wells and Coastal for their generous gift.
I have minutes for approval tonight, September 30th agenda meeting and October 12th regular meeting.
Everybody have a chance to review? Any questions, concerns about the minutes?
No.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So
Is there a second?
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Ordinance 2021-39C, an ordinance amending Chapter 57, Beach Protection, Article 1, Protection of Beaches and Dunes of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean. The purpose is to require private dune walkovers to extend the flat beach and that debris is removed timely after a storm event. Final reading.
Since this is the final reading, it will be open to public comment. Please confine yourself to 3 minutes and come up, and if you're in the room, identify yourself and give your address. And if you're on Zoom, we'll take you second. Same set of rules. Anybody in the room like to speak to 2021-39C?
John Harvey, 211 2nd Street in Beach Haven. My only question on this, is this a program that continues for somebody building a house on the shore, on shoreline, to be able to have a private pathway? Because I still don't fully understand how it came around to this in the beginning. And I just believe that if we're going to really protect the island, protecting the dunes is critically important. And I just don't get why we permit private homes, oceanfront homes, to build a private path, in some cases where the public walkway is less than 50 feet away, and have that right to do that. So that's my question.
I believe that was a directive government. The Army Corps said that we had to do that.
I think that the Army Corps put it in their program as an option. I think each municipality can make that decision on their own, but they gave us the parameters and they allowed it to happen in their program.
Mhm.
Then we can take it a step further and decide whether we want to implement it.
Okay.
I think that none of us wanted it. None of us wanted it before, but we were sort of forced into this.
At the time, we had a couple of residents that lived on the oceanfront that had some handicapped family members, specifically a child at that point, and we felt that in those instances that it was important that we grant them. And it's, I think, 15 at this point that we have. But that's a discussion for council if you want to continue to offer them or not.
So we don't, right, because everyone could get one then, basically. I mean, when you think about it, there's no parameters around that.
Well, then, if the dune is their property, correct? It's part of,
Yeah, I mean,
again,
they
so,
vary, but yes.
right.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to speak to this?
See any hands up?
Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to close? Well, actually, no, we need a motion to vote on this one. Okay. Is there a motion to approve 2021-39C?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller?
Yes, but just to be clear, this is something that we definitely can go back and discuss. For right now, what this ordinance does is the walkways that are currently have to maintain, they have to go to the flat beach, and after a storm, they have to clean up after. So this is a discussion that we can have again on, is this something moving forward with, again, all of the recent development, is that the direction that we want to go for the homeowner? So that's definitely a discussion that we can have. So for right now, yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-38C, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 141, Peace and Good Order of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven. Purpose to prohibit beach chairs and bikes to be locked in public areas for long periods of time. First reading.
Okay, since it is the first reading, there is no public comment. Is there a motion to approve 2021-38C?
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second. Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller?
Yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-40C, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 173, Solid Waste of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to establish more stringent rules for recycling. First reading.
Okay, as the first reading, there's no public comment. Is there a motion to approve 2021-40C?
So moved?
Second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller?
Yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-41C, an ordinance amending Chapter 51, Animals, Article 1, Control and Licensing of Dogs and Cats of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to restrict animals on the beach until October 1st annually. First reading.
Okay, first reading, no public comment, but I would like to add to something I said, because this is one I introduced. I know it's not popular with some people in the council, which I understand, some of my friends, but Beach Haven currently has the second most lenient time period on the island. And our neighbors, Long Beach Township, are from May 16th to October 1st. Ship Bottom is May 1st to October 1st. Surf City is April 30th to October 1st. Harvey Cedars, the smallest town, is May 30th to September 15th. And Barnegat Light is April 15th, probably the strictest, to September 30th. So I propose this because I think, A, we're in line with our neighbors, and B, as long as we're encouraging people to come down and use our beach, which we've had very nice years, the last couple, I think it's their right to come on the beach without animals running loose and barking and everything else. And I know there are a lot of responsible owners. Unfortunately, there are those that aren't. And I didn't feel this was too draconian. I know there are some who are not in favor of it, and that's okay. But that's why I presented this in the first place.
I'd like to say something. I disagree with this. I do think we're a very pet-oriented community, and people are now taking their dogs with leashes in the restaurants. They're staying at hotels. I think most pet owners, I'd say probably 99% of pet owners are very responsible with their animals. They pick up their waste. They make sure that they don't. I haven't seen any dogs really getting on fights on the beach. I think so many of my friends that have dogs, and I don't have a dog, I sort of wish I did, but they basically can't wait until the 15th rolls around so they can get their dogs on, they can get their dogs on the beach. It's like a big deal. And I do think it's somewhat draconian. I would actually like to find a few spaces maybe towards the south end of Beach Haven where dogs could get on the beach in the mornings, even off during the season. I know Public Works hasn't been a big fan of that, but I do think, that's my feeling. I don't have to say any more.
Yeah, and I am in opposition to this ordinance as well. For me, it's more so that would be approximately $3,000 to replace all of the signage at each of the beaches, and I don't think that's a necessary expense that we need to go through. I understand the being incongruent with the other towns and especially our neighboring town, but at the same time, to me, it's just not something worth going through. So that's my point.
I have to, sorry to say, I agree with Nancy and Chris. As a dog owner, that day, September 15th, everybody's excited to take their dogs to the beach. And actually, I've had a couple of people, after seeing the agenda, approach me, tell me that they know of people that come here explicitly in September to bring their dogs because they can now go to the beach. They hold off all summer. So growing up, having dogs, having neighbors that had dogs, it was something we all look forward to. So I'm in full favor of leaving it as September 15th.
I really don't have an opinion on this. I don't have a dog. I never had a dog. I'm not exactly a dog person. I actually agree with Nancy that I would actually like to open up in the summertime an area of the beach because I think it's disgusting. The dog beach at the only one spot you can launch on the bay, and there's thousands of dogs going to the bathroom in the water, and kids are launching their kayaks and paddleboards, which is disgusting. So I would like a more open area for the dogs rather than that small little dog park on the bay side. But I don't really have an opinion on it.
All right. Well, obviously it's not going to fly. So what do we do?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
We don't have to vote even?
No. No. All righty.
All matters listed under item consent agenda are considered to be routine by the municipal council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds, and any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. Resolution 195, returning piling bonds. 196, authorizing the submission of amusement license for Mr. T's. 197, returning piling bonds. 198, adopting the amended floodplain management plan. 199, executing a shared service agreement with Stafford Township for plumbing, electrical, and fire subcode inspections and plan review. 200, authorizing the purchase of a loader for Department of Public Works through JESCO. 201, Chapter 159, insertion of special item of revenue. 202, acknowledging the 2020 audit and executing affidavit. Resolution 203, awarding a contract to Core and Main for the purchase of the valve exerciser. 205, returning street opening bonds. 206, authorizing the purchase of a mini excavator for the Department of Public Works and Water Department through Foley. 207, authorizing the tax collector to conduct an electronic tax sale. Resolution 208, establishing fees for tax sale notices. 209, approving an agreement between the Borough of Beach Haven and RealAuction.com LLC for electronic tax lien certificate sales services. 210, approving John Volpe to be included in the 2019 and 2020 LoSAP certified list of eligibles for the first aid squad. 211, awarding a contract to Shore Top Construction for the 2020 road reconstruction improvement project, 8th Street and Delaware Avenue. 212, resolution recognizing November as National Family Caregiver Month. 216, awarding a contract to Earl Asphalt for the 2021 water main replacement project, Leeward, Ocean, and Pelham Avenues.
Are there any questions or anything that anybody would like to see removed from the list of resolutions?
I just wanted to make two comments. I was glad to see both with the loader and with the main valve exerciser, we probably, with the budgeting that we did, they came in under budget, which was really great. The loader alone came in at $40,000 under budget. So good job on that. So I just wanted to say, we try to even still, when we have the budget, to stay within our means. So even though they're big items. So I was glad to see that.
They did a great job to go through the EC and jigs a lot, which saved us a lot of money.
So
They have a beautiful new garage to store them.
Yes.
From the salt there.
and that's it.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the resolutions within the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second,
Mr. Allen?
yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes.
I have a bill list this evening in the amount of $777,527.87.
Everybody have a chance to read the bills? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes. Okay, we're up to public comment. And again, please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We'll start with the room and then go to Zoom. John?
John Harvey, 211 Second Street. Going back to ordinance 2021-38C to prohibit beach chairs and bikes from being locked in public areas for long periods of time. Can you explain what that is?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I was kind of smirking when this went by at the last meeting. Chief Markowski was here and he explained that there is actually people locking their beach chairs to the public bike racks. So they didn't have to carry them back and forth to their
Or to the
residence.
pavilions as well.
Right, so
And the
they-
fences.
Locking their beach chairs up. So we couldn't really say you can't do that unless we had an ordinance.
Got it.
saying-
And two questions related to that. What's a long period of time?
More than 24 hours.
Okay. And is this, one of my concerns in the past is we pass ordinances and don't think about how we're going to enforce it.
Well, we had to have the ordinance to enforce that.
No, but I mean, we don't enforce, in my mind, pedestrian crosswalks and other things. And this is on the list, but it's not the most important thing to enforce.
Well, the public works and in the morning when they go down to do the cleaning and all that, and then the police have gotten numerous calls because of the
Okay.
bike racks and
And
things.
just on the recycling 40C, just describe more stringent rules for recycling.
With the recycling one?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the things is, which I was surprised about, I often take a paper bag and I put a whole lot of stuff in the paper bag and then I throw the paper bag with the recycled stuff in it in the recycling can, and they don't want that done. I think, and I talked with Sharon, I think it's because when they go to the county, they sort through all this stuff. And if it's in a bag or something, they can't get it out and sort through the machines. Pat, do you know
The
more?
bags get caught in the
Mhm.
sorter.
And the bags get caught?
The bags get caught in the sorter going around.
Right.
That's why.
So if we, I recycle the paper bags from Murphy's,
Right.
so I should just, I really believe we should have single street. I don't believe in all this. I think we should have single street recycling. Because when you pour all that stuff together, all that paper gets just gummed up
Yeah.
and it's useless. So I suppose with the bags, then you should fold them up and,
Yeah, I guess, the open bags, I don't know if it's a difference, whether the bag is open and that's why it gets jammed up. But I know the plastic, you definitely can't put the
Right.
I
plastic.
can't put plastic in.
No, the plastic bags, they definitely gum up the works.
Yeah, and you can now you can leave the caps on your
Yes.
bottles now. You don't have to take those off
Yes.
anymore.
All right.
So it all depends on the machinery that they use at the county level. That's what guides this whole thing.
To answer your question, one of the items is that we are making it mandatory or requirements that construction jobs, residential, commercial construction jobs, that they recycle concrete, cement blocks, bricks, asphalt, materials like that, so we can get that out of the landfills. That loose cardboard will no longer be collected by the commercial establishments. Bound, that will no longer be collected. It has to be in a receptacle. So if you have a lot of cardboard for your business, if you want to do a cardboard only dumpster, that would be great. You just can't have it piled up loose. It's just taking so long for us to collect. If you have a little bit, you can put it in a can. If you have a lot, you can put it in the dumpster. For commercial businesses, if you are a business that does recycle clean, commingled recycling, you'll be limited to 3 95-gallon cans of it. First one will be free. You can purchase 2 others. If you exceed 3 95-gallon cans of clean, commingled recycling, you would have to contract with a private hauler. Cardboard dumpster separate. That will always be collected. There's a requirement here that large developments, multifamily residential units that would go to the land use board would have some more requirements in explaining what their plan will be for recycling. Commercial businesses that offer public trash cans to the public will also now have to offer a recycling can to the public. So if you have a trash can out on your sidewalk, you should offer a trash and a recycling can on your sidewalk. If we have private haulers coming into town and they're witnessed dumping trash and recycling into their truck, they can be cited for not correctly separating the material. And I think that's it.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else in the room have a public comment? Scott?
What the heck, I came this far, I might as well speak. I'd like to thank all you folks for your service to our community. You're wonderful. And then I'll go on. I was in Utah.
For the record, so we know who's talking on the recording.
Yeah, recording. Come in over surveillance. Scott Cunningham, 6th Street, Beach Haven. I was at a wedding in Colorado or in Utah just recently, and a couple of the townspeople were there, the mayor, and we got speaking, and it's as small as Beach Haven but tighter. And I asked him what they were doing with tractor trailers. He said, "Oh, we had this problem." Is John Harvey can probably testify. Tractor trailer sitting on the side of the street all day long, blowing smoke in the air and running. He goes, "Oh, we cured that. They have from 8:30 till 10:30 or 11 a.m. in the morning to unload their goods to all the restaurants, supermarkets, and everything. At 11 a.m., if you cannot, or 10:30, whatever he said, if you can't get the tractor trailer off the street, you must leave." And the people complained, but they started showing up there at the 8 a.m. And I believe that would be great for 2nd Street, the tractor trailer, sit there all day and run. That is disgusting. They do it on Angleside and everyone else. Tractor trailers off the road. You give them 2.5 hours. If you can't unload your load in 2.5 hours, come back the next day. I mean, that's just it's just terrible. I couldn't sit with tractor trailers looking out there, especially children and grandchildren sucking up those fumes. Secondly, on the previous administration, I brought this up. I kind of fell on deaf ears. Saturday and Sunday in the summer, we don't need construction. Paying $10,000 a week. There's not one American working, and I go around all the time. Not one American's working construction on Saturday in Beach Haven in July and August. And it's not just the foreigners, the Americans. We can take Saturday and Sunday off in July and August. I mean, it's not the end of the world. No one's going to starve to death. We have the rest of the year to work 12, 16 hours a day, Saturday and Sunday off, because this summer, people work 7 days a week on construction sites, on 6th Street especially. And so if it's on 6th Street, it's on every street. Sunday is definitely a no-no, but I don't call in on that. Saturday and Sunday off all summer. I mean, it's not the end of the world. And we should have restrictive hours. I mean, 8 to 5. 8 to 6 in the summer. We don't need to go from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. all summer long. There's still Ocean City, no construction, June 15th till September 15th. None. I mean, it wouldn't hurt for the renters to have a little nicer of a time. Other than that, I don't think you have anything more. That's all. Just a thing to kick around. We don't need to go 24/7. Oh, and you said about how many people are in town. Since the hurricane, we have doubled the capacity of our community in human beings. There are double the amount of bedrooms in this town in 10 years. We've taken down the 1,800 square foot homes, put the 4,500 square foot homes, so the 2 and 3 cars in the yard are now 6 and 7 and 8 cars. We've got a lot of people in our, we don't need any more people. I mean, we don't need any more people in July and August. January and February, if you're here, you've missed the plot. Have a good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room? No? How about on Zoom?
Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry. Zoom. Let's get rid of Zoom. You can listen, but I do believe you need to, you want to talk, come here and speak. We don't need to call them from Nassau, California, or Miami to complain about pickleball and everything else and tell us how we're supposed to do it. If you want to speak, come to our town meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll wait for your comment on that.
Yeah, I just, hopefully you know, this was one of the reasons of Engage Beach Haven was to represent the people that weren't represented. There are so many taxpayers here that do not live in the community, especially in the off season. And I think, applaud you for doing Zoom. I'd say keep Zoom. And I know the person in California owns a property here and is interested. And I think you have to have representation from everybody.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Well, I would like to speak to that because I do agree that I think we should keep Zoom, but my recommendation to council is that if anyone speaks on Zoom, they do need to show their face and give their, instead of just being on a phone call only, unless they're a phone only, a lot of people have phones that are able to be able to see, because I think that makes it a little more challenging for them to speak up. I've seen that in other situations before. So.
Well, I agree that it's nice that people can check in with Zoom, but I do have an issue, especially with the land use board, as I watch the meetings and you can't see people being sworn in. There's always a problem with people not being able to unmute themselves. I think they should be in person. And I think anybody with a plan or anything coming before should also be here in person. I think that's the best way to handle that, but people can watch if they'd like. So that's my thought on that. Anybody else for public comment?
Any members of the meeting participating via Zoom wish to be heard, you can raise an electronic hand. If you're on a regular phone, you can *6 to unmute yourself and make yourself known. Seeing none?
Seeing none, we close the floor to public comment and move on to final remarks by council. Mr. Allen?
Okay, I guess my break is up. I'm first. I don't really have too much to say. The business district meeting was very informative. And yeah, that's kind of all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Spellmiller?
I just wanted to say again, thank you to Bonnie Wells and Coastal Living Real Estate for donating that generous gift. And I know that a lot of senior citizens will be utilizing that in the summertime. And I'm glad that we're getting those large pieces of equipment and that our beaches will be up and ready for the 2022 season. And that I just want to say that I really like January and February. They're two of my favorite months. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 families in here that have children at the Beach Haven School that chose to live here and raise their families here in a thriving community that has a small town center, and that we have visitors in the summertime that we welcome, and then they go away in the wintertime, and we have garage parties and we hang out together, and they're two of my favorite months, and I love when the wind blows. I love when it's gale, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Dr. Davis?
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate, thank you, Bonnie and Coastal Living And I agree, I like the winter months myself very much. It is a thriving community. I do want to say, I really think what Mr. Malley said, basically, we have to decide whether we really want a business community or not, whether we want a business district. And I think we do, and not so much for a year-round community. I'm happy with Murphy's and Kapler's, and there's enough places open I can be satisfied. But I really don't want to have to go off the island and go through all those 36 traffic lights to go to the mainland to buy anything I have to buy. And occasionally, I do like to try a pair of shoes on if there's a shoe store. I think a lot of people, we do need more restaurants in this town in the summer. On the island in general, you cannot get a reservation. And I do think we need to keep a viable business district. Maybe it's shrinking it. There's options. But I do think we have to work towards this because it really defines our community. We're the only municipality on Long Beach Island that really has a vibrant business district that is in one spot where you can walk down the street, even where Bill Burris built a single family home, which, by the way, the council did not say that he couldn't put mixed use there. He just wanted an awful lot of mixed use. But he at least has a little pocket some seating in front of it, so it does allow for a streetscape there. And I think we need that. I think it's very, very, very important that we work towards this. And that's basically all I have to say. Thanks.
I agree with you 100%.
Thank you, Mrs. Rutherford.
I wanted to just thank Sherry and the finance department again. We're doing such a great job. Thank you for putting all this time and effort into all of this. In addition to the thanks to Bonnie Wells, Pat O'Donnell, really wanting to push this forward. So I'm excited about the Gator program as well.
Joining the Gator?
I think that's so awesome. So there was a lot on there was a lot on the agenda today. And just to kind of reiterate what both Jamie and what Nancy said is, I moved here 4 years ago to be able to be a part of a small community. A couple of things that Mr. Malley said was, if you don't have business district, basically you have what did you call it? A development. And I moved from a development to a small community so that my children could walk to school, so that I could participate. I go to Murphy's, I go to Kapler's and things like that. So I would like to see that stay. And it is, what do we want in the next 10, 20 years? Some of the people in here don't see them staying there for that long, but how are we going to continue that? So I appreciate your time, both of you, for coming today, and thank you for your insight. I feel like it got beat up a little bit. You were just giving your opinions or your status. It wasn't we were making a decision today. So I value all the input from the community for that today. So thank you.
I just want to say one more thing. I rent a house on the island in Beach Haven, and one of the main questions I get from prospective renters is, how close are you to the business district?
Yeah.
How far do I have to walk to get to Fantasy Island? Or how far do I have to walk to get to the grocery store? This is a huge question.
Yeah.
So people really are renting here and wanting to live here for those amenities.
Yes. We just need to make it a little more affordable for some people.
Okay, I too would like to thank the business community and the attorneys for coming and helping us out tonight. Sherry, good job. And also the Gator purchase is big. I also want to congratulate the Seashell Resort for a very, very successful fundraiser. $57,000 was raised for the Compassion Cafe, which is awesome. And just remind people that the Veterans Day celebration is this Thursday at 10:45 in Bicentennial Park. And that's it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All right, and all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.